I would like to invite our hosts to the screen. Here they come, Debra, Muzikar, and Keri Bowers. And we're so happy to have them here. They're the co-founders of the Art of Autism that brought the color of sound to Oceanside Museum of Art. The Art of Autism is a San Diego County-based nonprofit whose mission is to empower autistic people and their families through participation in the arts. And it's great to see you both here. Before we get started, I'd love to say just a few words about each of you. Debra is a parent of 3 and has actually curated the exhibition, which you'll hear about this evening. She's an author of 2 books about art and autism. Her youngest child, Kevin, is actually an artist who is also in the exhibition. So kudos to Kevin if you're watching from home, and also kudos to you, Debra. Keri, who is also our co-host for this evening, is an autism mom, activist, artist, filmmaker, and author. In 2019, she was certified as a person-centered planning coordinator, supporting clients to create, write, and fulfill upon self-determined future plans. So it's wonderful to have you both here with us this evening. So welcome, Debra and Keri. Are you ready to take it away?
Oh, we're very excited to be here, Adam. Thank you for the introduction. And I know you're recording this. There's a question in the Q&A about that. So you can watch this later, people that are not seeing it right now. So Keri and I are very happy to be here today. On this Zoom meeting, we have several artists who will be participating in a panel discussion. The artists are Joel Anderson, Jeremy Sicile-Kira, Austin John Jones, Sydney Edmond, and Syance. We also want to acknowledge those from OMA who made this a stellar exhibit, especially Katie Dogoff and Adam Nikolai, and exhibition sponsor and OMA board president, Keri Zimdars. Color of Sound is an exhibition featuring 14 Southern California autistic artists curated by the Art of Autism. The themes of Color of Sound are synesthesia, music, and color. The exhibit was initially planned for April of last year. Because of COVID, we had a virtual exhibit, Mozart at OMA, that could be viewed both on the Art of Autism and the OMA websites. It was sponsored by mainly Mozart. This year, we are at OMA through July 11th. All the artists in this exhibition are on the autism spectrum. As you will see with our panel discussion, autism is a wide spectrum of neurodifferences, which usually include communication and social challenges, repetitive behaviors, and special interests. Lucky for us, art is one of them. Many, but not all of the artists in this exhibit has synesthesia. Synesthesia can be defined as a crossing of senses. Some artists in this exhibit see colors as emotions, others see colors as attributes, and others see music as symbols and colors. There are many, many types of synesthesia. This is just a few of them. So Keri, you visited the exhibit last Saturday. What was your first impression?
Well, when I walked in, I was on fire. And all the docents actually were super excited as well. My mind was racing because I see in film. So I imagined all of the participants who are going to really just blow everyone away today. I imagined them actually making this art and seeing that in my mind. So it was kind of an interesting thing. And I want to say that our panelists today have different modes of communication and different styles in their art, but it's all expressed through this wonderful view of creativity, whether it be in music, dance, drama. We include all the arts. So I would just have to say I was on fire seeing this amazing, amazing exhibit. In fact, it brings us to this moment where we're going to now share the exhibit with you because Joel Anderson went to the museum and filmed it for everybody. So Adam, can we get that rolling? amazing compositions which inspired the works in this exhibit, which brings us to our first guest. Are you guys ready? She's so wonderful. Sydney, I am so glad to introduce you. Sydney Edmond is a talented autistic woman. She resides in Temecula, and she's a poet as well as an artist. We've also known Sydney, so we've known a lot of you since you were young. It's great to see you now as just burgeoning artists. So we're glad that you're here, Sydney, to represent the connection between art and synesthesia for you. Can you tell us first, though, about your communication method?
I lost the ability to speak when I was very little. I tried very hard to get it back with speech therapy, but never succeeded. When I was 10, I learned to point to letters on a letterboard, spelled out what I wanted to say, and freed from my prison of silence. In time, I got an iPad with a special app that featured voice output to speak my words for me. I was able to select my own voice, so it was truly like I was talking myself.
So we've read, Sydney, about your special relationship with colors and music and how you see emotions in colors. I'd love to hear what you have to say about how you see people around you and how you associate color with your music. And finally, how this influences your art.
I have always seen auras around people and animals. I was surprised to hear that everyone didn't. The colors are a soft glow. They are generally not bright and obvious. But music is another thing. I see colors swirling and moving with the music. Their intensity depends on the music and the volume it is played. More emotional songs will pop up with a combination of colors. I see mostly blues and purples with opera, jazz and classical too. But with happy music, I see yellow and orange. The colors enhance my experience of music. All this has impacted how I represent music and portraits in my paintings. The music is always represented by the colors I see, and my portraits of people and animals are often painted using the color of their aura.
So in your biography, you talk about using a technique called daubing. Can you explain what daubing is and why you use that in your music or your art, excuse me, your art and your music?
I have apraxia, which means that I struggle to control my movements. I would love to direct a paintbrush to move smoothly around my canvas, but I cannot. I need simple movements to paint. I select a brush and daub and dab it onto the canvas. I have many sizes and types of paint brushes in order to meet my needs. And just as when I type to communicate, I need support to encourage and spark movement. I listen to music as I paint. The rhythm helps me to move. I sometimes freeze up. Music will unlock me. It takes a long time and many corrections to complete a painting, but I am fond of my work and pleased to have it considered impressionistic in style.
Sydney, thank you so much. Later on, we're going to bring you back to recite your poem, and we're excited about that. For now, we're going to move on to our next guest participant, Syance. And Syance has a degree from California State University, Bakersfield, and she just finished a 4-year stint at Joey Travolta's Inclusion Films and graduated last week from film school. So congratulations, Syance.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd love for you to go and introduce yourself, and we'll get to a couple questions for you as well.
Okay. I am Syance, and I have synesthesia. This psychological prognosis alters my 5 senses, including hearing, smell, touch, taste, and sight, and causes them to interact with each other. I've had synesthesia all my life, but I didn't realize it was an actual condition. Ms. Bowers mentioned it while we were working on the film I was in called Normal People Scare Me Too. Synesthesia helps me get through school and other situations by helping me remember the required criteria. Also, it allows me to interchange my 5 senses, and it enhances my passion for both playing and listening to music. But synesthesia can be annoying when I have meltdowns due to schizophrenia, and even my feelings that are affected by normal, everyday situations. Sometimes synesthesia is helpful in remembering certain concepts or terms in order to pass exams and quizzes. For example, when I had to study for testing and inclusion films, I tried to connect the material I needed to memorize in order to be promoted to the next level to try to get hired to do projects in my area of interest, like editing and scenic art. Not only does synesthesia help me remember important information, it assists me with my ability to change my 5 senses. Synesthesia causes my 5 senses to interact with each other. For example, when I see the color red, I can feel anger, aggression, and fear. The sight of this color causes me to automatically feel these negative emotions, which is why I'm not a fan of the color red. My senses also interact with one another when I hear or compose music. I see certain colors and patterns that correspond to what I'm hearing and feeling.
So behind you is a wonderful piece. Is that inspired by music?
Yes, it is. For instance, when I listen to a song in a key of C major, I see a certain shade of pink. And the rhythm of the song in turn the pattern as well. And as also seen in this painting behind me.
So your next image in the exhibit is called randomosity, which is fascinating. Tell us a little bit about what it means.
Randomosity? I like to explain it. I like to make fun of things, like in my image, randomosity. This piece is about making fun of common everyday objects, turning them into a giant mansion. Drawing doors or windows is how I do it in the objects. In the future, I'd like to make randomosity into a new art movement and hope to work with the Art of Autism to invite artists to submit their own randomosity pieces. Maybe even make it a competition with a prize. And when it comes to that, I would love to do that one day. So,
Excellent.
yes.
Syance, if we have time at the end of this, keeping questions and answers in mind, we're going to have you play a little improv on your keyboard that is about synesthesia. For now, I'm going to ask Joel Anderson to come on. Joel is a filmmaker, a public speaker, and artist who resides in Fallbrook. Joel, you're considered a synesthesic because the colors you see are as attributes.
Yes.
You also see colors and notes in music. Can you explain?
Yes. When I painted my first Mozart painting for the first mainly Mozart events, when I incorporated music with paintings and art. Anyway, when I play a musical note like C, for example, when I play C, I see blue. When I hear D, I see purple. And when I see G, I see green.
Interesting, interesting. And you also wrote a poem that is just wonderful, The Colors of My Mind. Can you share that?
Of course, I'd love to. The colors of my mind. I paint in colors of the rainbow, and I see yellow of the sun and blue in the sky. I know you feel fine and smile when you see the colors of my mind. I see joy in green, courage in blue, strength in red, and love in yellow too, the colors of my mind. I draw pictures of history. I see landscapes of adventure and characters of mystery. I know you'll feel fine and smile when you see the colors of my mind. And when I paint, I feel peace. I can face the world with ease. I see the world around of artistry displaying creativity. I travel to get this inspiration to have another look at the colors of my mind.
Wow. I'm seeing all these comments coming in, by the way, panelists. People are asking questions and so forth. It's very exciting. Joel, finally, I want to ask you about your inspiration for actually this exhibit and the portraits that you created. What was behind the emotion and the process in this exhibition?
I started studying portrait paintings for at least 3 years, and I painted Mozart, Beethoven, and Bach. And Bach was not only a favorite composer of Maestro Michael Francis of the mainly Mozart Symphony, but he's also a courageous composer, as if I see blue and courage and blue behind at the back, like the background behind him, because Bach was he made courageous, strong, influential music.
Oh my gosh, we just got a note, by the way, will anybody's art be on sale? Debra, it's time for you to Joel, thank you so much. Debra, it's time for you to interview our 2 remaining panelists, but can you tell a little bit about how people can contact us in order to perhaps get in touch with artists and purchase art?
Well, they can contact the Art of Autism at info@artautism.com. If they're interested in any of the art is not for sale at the museum, but they have a gift store, and they also have an online store. None of this art is on that, but OMA has a gift store, and I don't know, I think maybe some of the art may be there.
Well, and I'll add that people can go on our website and theartofautism.com and just look up a search, and you can go and look for particular artists, and all of our artists today are represented with different pieces of their art in our gallery.
Right. So I'm going to bring on Jeremy Sicile-Kira. Jeremy's been painting in the background, and Jeremy is an intuitive visionary artist who resides in Little Italy. I learned a lot from a rehearsal listening to Jeremy explain his synesthesia, and I think the audience will too. Jeremy's art is highly symbolic. So Jeremy, how do you experience synesthesia?
Frankly, I experience different aspects of synesthesia. I see letters, words, and numbers in color. I see the emotions of people in color. I determine the color of people's names by their character and by their personality. Every name has a beautiful color. When I hear music, I feel a roller coaster of emotions. Different notes can make me feel different emotions. Great rhythms can make me feel like life is freedom. Listening to good music while writing or painting makes the flow better between my brain and my body. Hearing voices elicits colors as well. Truly, I did not know that the colors that I frankly saw were not what others see when they look at people. The energy vibrations around people and animals are also greatly apparent to me. My synesthesia is a gift, but it is also a beautiful language that needs its own translation into English. Truly learning to translate into words the emotions that I felt and see in color was difficult. Truly, my mom helped at first by explaining the emotions that people feel and what that looks like on their faces. But I see faces that look like Picasso paintings, with the facial features all mixed up. I don't see their emotion as an image of expression that I can read. I keenly see their emotions as color. Colors around people are part of how I recognize the people in my life. This combination of auditory, visual, emotional, and energy vibrations is how I now create my paintings. The beautiful colors of Dave Matthews and his musicians in concert is a good example of using all my senses and creating a painting.
So Jeremy, that's really fascinating. What do the colors mean that you see?
The colors I see range from dark to light and are all shades of color like those of a rainbow. I see more great colors in people's faces depending on their mood. When they laugh, I see blue. When they are stressed, I see just black. When they are sad, I see red. Purple is what I see when they are depressed. My favorite color is green, the color of calm. When I'm feeling frazzled with thinking, the rainbow is what I see. The same color can have different meanings. For example, red can also represent healthy living, or love, or anxiety, or pain. I can tell which emotion it is by the way the red is moving around the person I am looking at. But it can be difficult for me sometimes to know the true meaning of the red for pain, because red can represent both emotional and physical pain. Recently, I have been painting visions I have about current events and social injustice. For example, the beautiful colors of San Diego under the coronavirus and Black Lives Matter protests represents the colors of my city in the very midst of the coronavirus and the protests for the death of George Floyd. These events are sad, but hope is still present. The color yellow-green represents the new growth and unity of the people coming together. And mighty turquoise blue represents the powerful and positive change that is yet to come. The color indigo is greatly nicely representing those who are seeking wisdom and justice and fairness with equality. Frankly, overall the meaning is one of hope.
Very cool. So I think we need a lot of turquoise around us right now. So how does your gift of synesthesia help others?
Before I learned to type to communicate, I frankly lived in darkness. Gradually, over time, my mother and others taught me. Then I realized I had the ability to learn, and that I had gifts that were hidden until I was able to show others what I was capable of. This saved me from a life of despair and gave me great hope for my future. Years later, I learned to give people the great hope that they needed. I paint the positive colors of my clients so they can see their inner potential and spiritual essence. Happy people are easy to paint, but sometimes clients have terrible ideas about themselves, low confidence in their abilities. Frankly, I love to see their surprise when they see the painting and read the description, that they have all these beautiful attributes. I meet my clients over Zoom or FaceTime. I paint their colors based on their emotional colors and the energetic vibration I see around them, and what I hear in their voice. One of my favorite uses of my gift is to give hope to people that are sick or need some positive inspiration in facing a life challenge. They are the ones who need the most hope. My mission as an artist is to show people their inner power in these times when we can feel so powerless.
Thank you, Jeremy. That's very profound. So I'm going to bring on now the next, or our last artist, Austin John Jones. Austin is the only artist that's not a synesthete that's on this panel. He resides in La Jolla. He has a degree in art, and he also teaches art in the school system. Austin was also married this last year. So congratulations on that, Austin. So Austin, can you talk about your digital musical pieces in this exhibit and the process you used in creating them?
Of course, Debra. So I create musical pieces because I have a really giant love for music in general. It inspires me. All the artists I've created that are musicians that I have of art of them are either been requested or are just musicians that I listen to. I've listened to their music probably at one point or another, and the process for making them is pretty simple. I either draw the base sketch on a piece of paper, or I scan it into Photoshop and I just create it all from scratch. Either way, the final product is all created in Photoshop and is either a drawing or a painting. And for a lot of my work, I like using the pen tool to get the shapes that I like.
I love your art, Austin. So you're also an autism advocate. Can you talk a little about your autism, when you were diagnosed, and how that has affected you?
I was diagnosed when I was 4 years old. Most of the time, I don't feel like I have autism. I can tell you it does manifest in many ways, though. Functional freezes, episodes, repetitive behaviors, high energy, rambling to myself, and much more. But to tell you the truth, I don't often think about it. I just live. I just keep going. Because if I spent all the time worrying about my condition or my autism, I don't think I would have gotten very far.
Yeah. So Austin, you write for the Art of Autism as well. You're a blogger, and you've written many very interesting blog posts that our readers can read if they go to our website and just type in your name. I think you've informed a lot of people. So how do you advocate for autism?
Many ways. Just like you said, I write blogs for the Art of Autism website so that people on the spectrum who need help can become aware of their problems and get experience and how to deal with it. I also write my own blogs on my own website. You can find that at austinjohnjones.com. I also have publicly spoken on multiple occasions about living with autism. I also someday plan to write my own book about living on the spectrum. You can read more about that on my blog. It's going to eventually be called Dancing with Raptors, a story about a dude on the autism spectrum. And it'll be about my experiences and my life living with autism and how it will help people.
I got to jump in here because Austin, you just got married. And I think that that's something worth spending a moment because we're doing great on time. Tell us about falling in love and getting married briefly.
So my wife's name is Annie. I met her in a bowling alley, and I gotta say, it's been awesome being with her. She moved in last May, and I could not be happier. I actually wrote a blog about my experiences being married, and it's something you might want to read up on because it's not often the case that people on the spectrum have experience or share experiences on being married. And I feel like it's something that everyone can learn from. And despite whether you are on the spectrum or not, being married is a very challenging thing. So I've really grown better and found my life to be more positive and even more challenging at times, just going through the whole experience.
I think as an activist, your voice, because you're very young, and I think that we need to hear more young people and how they are evolving into relationships, and consider those that might not have that kind of relationship, because it's a very complex issue: relationships, love, safety, sexuality. And I think that you are like the new generation of a voice that really, truly matters in that area from experience.
I agree.
Since we're a little ahead of schedule, does Syance want to share her music right now
I think that'd be awesome.
before the Q&A?
Keep your comments and questions coming, people, because they're great. It's wonderful to read.
Yes, if anyone has questions, type them in.
Yes, please.
Okay, you ready?
Ready. You hear it?
All right,
Thank
Syance,
you, Syance.
it's perfect that you're there because someone just asked you to explain more about the piece that's behind you. You referenced it, but you really didn't talk about that magnificent scaled piece.
Syance, you have to unmute. Okay, yeah.
Okay, so this piece right here represents the series of songs that are off my iPod and on my YouTube playlist. And I picked my favorites, the songs that I like the most. And so what happens here is that the background, the colors of the background represent the beat of this, I mean, not the beat, the pitch of the song, the key the song is in. And the rhythm represents what the beat reminds me of. Like, for example, let's see, this one here is that represents a song that one of my sisters, Holly Mitchell, likes. It's called When Jesus Says Yes, Nobody Can Say No. And this green background, hold on just a second. This green background represents the key of C sharp major, which is this. That's C sharp major. And this black pattern is what this rhythm of the song. So it kind of goes like. So it kind of sounds like African music. Because most of the African songs I listen to kind of look like that. Like this one and this one right here. That's the African music that I listen to. It sounds like that.
I got to jump in and ask, I see 4 red squares. Was that really like pounding music? What kind of music was reflected in the red that you use, since that's a color that often impacts you in a not a good way?
Oh, anything on the red in this kind of music on here is not scary. All it does is it just represents the key of F major. And this is a techno song that I like. This is another techno song. And this one is the gospel song. This one's also a gospel song. So it's not anything scary. It's just the key of the song in F major. Red is F major. When I hear it in real life, it doesn't. When I hear it in real life, it doesn't scare me. But when I hear it in my dreams, it scares me.
Syance, we have a lot of questions for you right now as you're talking. So people want to know where you got your musical training from.
Well, when I was real little, when I first moved to Palmdale, California, my mother hired a piano teacher named Miss Cage. And as I was taking lessons from her, I was listening to, she let mom notice me listen to classical music a lot, and I really liked it. So in like kindergarten, first, second grade, I used to always like Beethoven because he's playing piano and I love classical music. But mom likes to share this story all the time, like, you fired this kid because she said that I said that she was wasting her money. I don't remember doing that, but I guess I did. And I took a break from the piano for a little bit, for a long time, until 2006. Then I picked it back up again. And then I was like, okay, let me do this. And then in 2007, I stopped playing classical music, unless it was stuff I made up. And when I saw the choirs singing in church one time, when my sister Holly Mitchell took me to St. John in 2007, I heard the choir playing the music and the piano sounded really good. And I'm like, okay, I want to play gospel music at church one day.
So thank you, Syance. We have some questions for some other artists as well. So Joel Anderson, are you there?
Yes.
So you were so educated in classical music. It's impressive. This is coming from OMA board member Keri. What kind of music do you like? Pop music, jazz, rock?
Anything. I collect any kind of music that I listen to, even on iTunes. Doesn't matter what favorite music I listen to.
Do you listen to music when you create your art?
Sometimes, yes.
Okay, and Joel, what's your website?
www.joelsvisionarts.com, and another is www.joelandersonartist.com. Could you write it down for me?
I'd like to jump in here and say, as a mother, my son Taylor is 32, and we've had quite a journey together. And I was told he might never walk or talk, but as an artist myself, a musician, a dancer, I just grew up with all those areas. I infused his life way back before the internet was around with the arts, and we're getting some comments about the beautiful array behind all of you. These are your real environments. They may be more where you create, not in your bedroom, but you're all surrounded by beautiful imagery that you've created or that of others. And I really want to say to the parents out there listening that at the Art of Autism, we absolutely presume competence. And we absolutely believe that through the arts, you can find the carrot that works to support your child. The arts have so many ways to support what you're seeing as adults today, that it wasn't like that, right, Mama Bears?
Yes. And this painting, The Color of Many Colors, is going to be on its way to Japan, to the Chiba City Art Gallery, located somewhere in Tokyo.
Very cool, Joel. Thank you for sharing that. So Austin, is there any specific musical artists that inform your art?
The list is almost endless, but most of my inspiration and most of my favorite musicians to draw are classic rock artists, blues artists, and modern day pop artists and stuff like that. So I'm really into Jimi Hendrix. I love Buddy Guy, Howlin' Wolf. Heck, I might do a Muddy Waters piece at some point. Chuck Berry. There's a lot of names that I could say right now. Most of them you might even recognize on my website. Like I did one of the Temptations, if you remember My Girl and all that stuff.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. I'm actually honestly losing track now at this point that I've made so many over the years now. And some of them were made for mainly Mozart. Some of them, I've just been making because I want to continue the series. So it's been a lot of fun. Like there's definitely been ups and downs, and it's just been really cool learning even more about these artists while researching them too.
Well, thank you.
Are we able to bring Angela Weddle on? She has a question. She's one of the Art of Autism's board members, which our board is comprised. There's only 2 of us who are allegedly neurotypical. But can we bring Angela on so she can actually speak her question, Adam? Or is it all typed?
Sorry, a little behind the curtain here, everyone. You can't see me. Hope you're enjoying. Great job, everybody. Let me see. Hey, everybody, we're doing this live. We've never tried it, but Angela, I'm going to allow you to talk. So let's see if that works.
Hello,
Hey,
can you hear
Angela.
me? Hi,
Yeah.
Keri. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Adam, for allowing me to speak.
You had a
So,
question about synesthesia specifically in the chat box.
yes, the one about diagnosis.
Yep.
Yeah, so I suspect I have synesthesia, though it differs maybe from how it presents in some of our speakers here. How did you all get diagnosed with it officially? Do you just and not that I think that official diagnosis has to mean everything, but it's usually considered pretty rare and difficult. It seems difficult, and I have an official autism diagnosis. I have other related things like nonverbal learning disability and cerebral palsy and different brain things, but how do you officially sort of know? And I'm not that it matters, but it is an interesting thing because sometimes in fact, I think I entered a piece into OMAs for the digital part of the color of sound for that portion of the exhibit. But it's sort of, maybe it's because I'm autistic, it's sort of like without that official diagnosis, it feels a little weird. Like if I say I have synesthesia, but I don't know, you know what I mean? Oh, so I guess I'm curious how people realized they did, because I've been talking to people, including Keri, and then these experiences I think are universal. I'm realizing not everyone thinks this way. They don't see a movie in their head, or they don't see colors or sounds. So if I listen to music, a piece will feel like I will see yellow or blue, or so, like different pieces will elicit certain colors. If someone describes something, I'll immediately see an entire image or video in my head from certain verbal descriptions. A lot of my visual art comes, I say it's like a download, like the whole image shows up. Even poetry, I call a lot of my art visual jazz. My poetry is very visual. So it's now I'm starting to realize both the benefits and maybe areas where there's conflicts in communication. Oh, I'm thinking this way, other people aren't. And so I'm just curious how you all realized you had synesthesia.
So do we want to go through the panelists and ask each one? I know Sydney's mom told me she's not formally diagnosed with synesthesia, and that a lot of parents of non-speaking autistic people don't know their child has this, because their child thinks everybody experiences the world the way they do. And I think that parents need to know they really need to ask their children how they are perceiving the world. It's not something, a usual question. I mean, do you see colors around people, or do you see colors? So we could go through the panelists. I think I answered just for Sydney right now because her mom told me, but how about Jeremy, Sicile-Kira? Jeremy, have you been formally diagnosed with synesthesia, or is it just something you realized you had?
While we're waiting for Jeremy to type, it's a very interesting field, and Jeremy, just jump in when you're ready, okay? But I think that this is very new, if you will, relative. It's been around for a very long time, but I think it's relatively a new awareness in the autism community.
I know.
And
I wasn't beneficially diagnosed with autism. I just feel, the art and the colors and images.
Right, Joel. And your mom has expressed to me that she did not know that you had synesthesia until you started talking about it, and then she realized that.
She knows.
Yeah, she knows now, but not at first. That's how you were seeing
That's right.
seeing things.
And I'd also like to chime in. So like also I'm not diagnosed with synesthesia, but however, I actually do see things like a film running through my head. That's actually how I get a lot of my visual images when I create things and tell stories. So that's kind of my side of things. Like I see things, I see my stories in my head.
Oh, so that's like Temple Grandin.
Yeah, it's very similar.
Well, and as a neurotypical, but I believe I have synesthesia. Sometimes I cut people off because and I don't mean to, my brain is just seeing this movie. And if a whole chunk of the movie is missing, I can't keep watching. I can't assimilate my brain. Do you experience that sometimes, Austin?
So it often happens when I listen to certain songs, for example, repeated images and visions come back to me and I remember them and it reminds me of those stories. So it's all memory based.
Okay.
And
So Angela mentioned that there are 80 types of synesthesia and color and sound is only one type, but we're doing an art exhibit. So we're using the color and sound as it. And that was a quote too by a famous artist about the colors, the sound of color actually.
excuse me.
Because many artists are synesthetes.
Does Jeremy, do you have your answer finished?
Yeah.
I discovered that I experienced synesthesia in 2011. My mother observed me flipping through the book Born on a Blue Day and told me the author Daniel Tammet sees words and letters in color. I replied, "Doesn't everyone?" My mother was very surprised and answered no. Then it was my turn to be surprised. I thought everyone could see great color everywhere, like me. That is frankly why I never communicated to Mom or anyone about the colors I was seeing. Soon after, I began to communicate to others about the dreams I was having, dreams that I was painting the emotions of people I had met into colorful abstract portraits. Frankly, I believed everyone had glorious dreams. When I told people about the paintings I created in my dreams, they were very surprised. Then one night I had a different dream. I dreamt I had a great art show of my paintings. Truly, I was really excited and asked my mom how to have an art show. Mom frankly told me it could not very much happen unless I painted in real life. Truly, I was surprised to see I could, by kindly trying hard, learn to paint. My first solo curated art show was in April 2016 and was a sold-out show, had local and national media attention, and resulted in over 25 private commissions. That is how I became a professional artist using my gift of synesthesia.
Thank you,
we-
Jeremy.
We have his poem to get to, but I know that IKEA had her hand up. So we've got a couple of minutes left. If we're talking about Syance, you can go ahead and answer that question about your synesthesia, and then we'll have Sydney come in and recite her poem, okay?
Okay. Yeah, sorry for interrupting you guys. But yeah, so with this one, this is synesthesia too, in a sense.
Wow.
However, this is not based on music. It's about bad memories that I've created with family, friends, and teachers and pastors and so forth. Like, for example, this is probably time when Holly got mad at me. This one is too. And it's about, and then somebody making fun of me one time about a condition I have with that makes me, you know,
When it was first suggested that you have synesthesia, though, Syance, did it click for you immediately, or what? How did you go look into it?
I was actually, this happened to me all my life when I had synesthesia. I had synesthesia all my life because every time I listened to a song, even when I was little, I used to imagine like patterns in my mind, what it sound like, and what it looked like to me. And I was always afraid to do that until I went to Cal State, and my art instructor for painting class would gave us a free choice project, and then I guess the vision from God was like, hey, Syance, why don't you draw just music, what it means to you, and voila.
Beautiful. All right. So Sydney, are you ready to recite your poem for us?
Yes, I'll be reciting it for her.
Oh, wonderful.
Can you hear it okay?
Yeah, Lisa is Sydney's mom. Yeah, we can hear you great.
Okay, here we go. My paintings, like my poetry, pour out like a prison escape. What you see, exclamations of great joy. I paint and my soul colors the canvas. A wave of happiness washes over me, and I hope those who view my work.
Beautiful poem, Sydney. Thank you.
Beautiful. So I think we have some people to thank in the last 2 minutes. I think we did great, team. Thank you to all of our panelists. And Debra, do you want to bring it home with how to contact us and sort of just a minute on some of our projects during the year?
Well, this exhibit is one of our big projects, and it's going to be at Oceanside Museum of Art. I think they're open Thursday through Sunday right now through July 11th. And I think we're planning on something in June, maybe, with the art walk. I think we're going to be at San Diego Festival of the Arts this year. And we have initiatives of Women History Month, Peace Initiative that you do, Keri. And we also do Black History Month. So people can participate, autistic artists can participate that way.
Well, and as we heard today, Syance would like to maybe do a project herself with the Art of Autism, and I'll be happy to support that. I'm sure that all of our board members will, and bring up other people's idea of randomosity, which just randomly making fun of society and cities at large.
And somebody suggested, Syance, that you put your playlist next to your piece so that people know what each of those squares represents on your synesthesia art.
Brilliant.
I'd be more than happy to do that.
I think that's an awesome idea. Well, congratulations, everyone. I know I've been behind the curtain, but now I'm back. So I just want to give a round of applause to all of our speakers tonight, our artists tonight, Sydney, Austin, Jeremy, Syance, and Joel. Thank you so much for sharing insight into your work and your stories to our audience. So it's been really wonderful to work with all of you over the past couple weeks. And we're so excited that people get a chance to really experience your artwork at the museum for many months. So very exciting. I hope that when we do our exhibition celebration for the Color of Sounds, that we all get to meet in person. I think we've only really been talking virtually. So I'm really looking forward to meeting you all in person. And Debra and Keri, congratulations on a wonderful discussion this evening. I think this is so important to be able to hear the stories of as many artists as possible from the exhibition, and also a shout out to all of the other artists that are featured in the exhibition at OMA. This is a wonderful sampling of some of the artists, but there's so many more artists, and I do know that several of them are on the call tonight and are putting putting things in the chat and wishing their friends and other fellow artists good luck and best wishes. So we thank them. So all of the artists in the exhibition, a round of applause.